Living History, World War II stories as told by those who were there.
In August 1944, the Allies broke out of their bridgehead in Normandy, trapped 80,000 German troops in the Falaise Gap, and began a breakneck advance across northern France to the borders of the Third Reich. As winter came, both commanders and men believed that the war was almost over. They were in for a rude shock. A massive and wholly unexpected German offensive in the hills and forests of the Ardennes seemed to threaten the Allies with a second Dunkirk, splitting the British and American armies and bundling them back to the Channel coast. It was the final gamble of a desperate man. The front on which the German blow would fall was held by only 3 American infantry divisions and 1 armored division. They were strung out on a front of 90 miles. The German attack went in at 5:30 a.m. on the 16th of December. After a 20-minute barrage, the storm troops appeared out of the mist. At first, there was panic and confusion in the American lines. In the center, the American 28th Division was quickly overrun. A breakthrough loomed. Along the Bastogne axis, the capture of the road junction of Bastogne was now vital. After nearly 48 hours of fighting, the Germans had been balked in the north and south and were already being funneled due west into a salient, the so-called Bulge. Eisenhower now turned to General Patton, commander of U.S. Third Army south of the Bulge. Worried that the German thrust would split Bradley's 12th Army Group in two, he ordered Patton to swing 3 of his divisions north through 90 degrees to drive on Bastogne. The key to the battle was now the town of Bastogne. By holding Bastogne, a major rail junction situated on a plateau surrounded by wooded hills, the Allies could disrupt the entire German effort. The town had been garrisoned on the 18th of December by 101st Airborne Division. In 3 days of fighting, it had been isolated by the 2nd Panzer, Panzer Lehr, and 26th Volksgrenadier Divisions. In command at Bastogne was Brigadier General Anthony C. McAuliffe. When called on to surrender, he gave the simple reply, "Nuts." McAuliffe reflected growing American confidence. The ferocious weather was beginning to clear, opening up the prospect of resupply by airdrop. The German assault on Bastogne was now driven by desperation. House-to-house fighting raged on the outskirts of the town as the German besiegers threatened to break in. Bastogne's defenders dug in and even managed to smile for the cameras. The Americans had celebrated Christmas with Bastogne still in their hands. On Christmas Day, the Germans had breached McAuliffe's defenses in 2 places before being halted and then driven back. The fighting had been as fierce as anything seen in the Battle of the Bulge. But it represented the last spasm of an offensive contained and soon to be rolled up. On the 26th of December, Patton's armoured spearheads, driving up from the south, joined hands with the defenders of Bastogne. In a logistical tour de force, Patton had swung almost his entire army north to punch a gaping hole through the southern axis of the German advance. Panzer formations, which lay to the west of Bastogne, were now threatened with isolation. Like a boxer bouncing back off the ropes, the Americans began to pound the German armor trapped in the salient. Tough fighting still lay ahead, but the initiative had been reclaimed by the Allies.
Our group was down into a gully. One of the fellows yells, "Medic, medic!" I headed down towards the slope. All of a sudden, brrrt, 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 and something blew up. I was in the air. I came down, wedged myself back into my helmet, and I saw him. He was bleeding, and so I immediately sewed up his arm. I saw the other fella. He had to cut off his finger. He's useless. And repaired other fella's legs. His leg was dangling. I had to do that same thing. And we took care of that. Head up towards the hill. The company commander is up there. Is very badly wounded. We dug in foxholes, and I went over. Headed first to see the company commander, and he was so badly wounded that the medic hadn't finished doing his treatment, so I did the balance, and I took care of him, and we were there from the 2nd to the 6th of January, when we were finally surrounded by the Germans, and Germans started climbing up. We had to have a flag, white flag, and then they had the white flag, and the fellows started dropping all their arms, the machine guns and everything, and hitting them against the rocks to prevent the Germans from getting hold of it. And we were there until finally we were told we were surrendered, prisoners of war.